In my last video, I told you guys how my husband and I had come up with a plan to ask my brother if he would let my husband buy my dad's jukebox off of him. And so my husband decided he was going to text my brother and ask him. And so he sent him this text on October 19th, 2017 at 4:41 p.m. He wrote, "Hey, it's Chris. Hope you have no problem that I'm contacting you. Leanna told me you wanted to sell a jukebox. I was interested in it. She told me you got a quote for $700. I would pay you your half, $350. I was looking to restore it and keep it in the family. Let me know if you're interested. No hard feelings if you don't want to. Thanks." I wish my husband would use some periods, but that's okay. Anyway, my brother didn't answer, and as you guys can see below, he didn't answer for quite a few days, and I'll show you guys that one in a minute. But first, let me tell you what happened. And if you guys don't remember, Satan had written me this email the day prior telling me that if I was claiming the $1,600, were state expenses, then provide the receipts. And that she's going to provide a receipt for the flowers. And then she asked me, and I quote, "I'm not sure if or what your objection is on the jukebox. There are people that are willing to buy it for parts or to recondition it. I didn't set the $700 estimate. Jane Crockett did. Besides, if someone pays $700 for it, that's more than $0 and more for you too." Now, just keep this in mind. I decided to answer her email early the next morning before my husband sent that text. And so I'm going to read the emails that led up to my husband's text. I'm going to read you guys my next email. You guys will understand what's happening with this whole thing, all right? So I write back to my brother, Satan, really. I said, "Why do I have to give your attorney anything? I'm not paying him. What reimbursement are you talking about? There's nothing to reimburse. I wasn't asking for a reimbursement, so I don't know why she kept calling it that. You know what the money was spent on, and you have some nerve telling me to put it back. Why would you even sit there and pretend you didn't know? Did you think I didn't tell my attorney about that?" And I did tell my attorney about it. The very first time I sat down with my attorney, I told him. Did you think I didn't know you'd try to bring it up and act like I was stealing money? You're pretty predictable. Go ahead and put your flower receipt in. I have no problem paying you half for it. You were so tacky, bitch. Is it just me, or is that tacky for her to try to get reimbursed for the flowers? She did not want me getting a dime more than my brother. She was literally splitting hairs. It's disgusting. She's sick. She's such a greedy bitch. And again, I just want to remind you guys that these are people that are not poor, in need. They're well off. And you're that fucking greedy? Ugh. So I write, "I'll also give you $350 for the jukebox too, and save you the trouble of having to sell it. I'm not objecting to selling stuff. I'm just finding it funny that you were ready to junk all the contents of the house, and now all of a sudden you want to attach values to things because you have nothing else to argue with me about. Keep digging. Maybe we can argue about who's gonna keep the dust bunnies from under my mom's bed. You should go back and listen to your recordings and read your emails. You keep contradicting yourself, and you seem to think I have no memory of what you've said in previous emails. It's like you're purposely trying to confuse me, but don't seem to understand yet that it's not going to happen. I have a really good memory, and Steven knows that, which is also part of the reason I know I'm not talking to him. You can block images in the emails and not sign on to Liberty Mutual's Wi-Fi all you want. I still have your Verizon IP. And I've known him for 36 years, and he knows me. No matter how you try to twist the narrative, I know my brother knows who I am and what I'd fall for. He knows how hard it is to trick me or stump me or trip me up, and the person I've been emailing doesn't seem to know that. So it's quite obvious it's not him. Steven is not this argumentative. He's not. He's just not. I think you know all of this, and that's the real answer to all the resistance over the last 3 or so years. You don't want to have a conversation about the real stuff. You could pretend all you want that you don't see this stuff, but I know you read it. Every time I do what you want, you find something else to complain about, as in, now you are bringing up the flowers, knew they were eventually going to come up. You keep these little things up your sleeve like I can't see them coming from a mile away. Then you pick and choose what issues you want to address and evade everything else. You pretending you don't see things doesn't mean they aren't there. The mind games just don't work with me. Everyone can see what's going on here. I don't know who you think you're fooling. Maybe yourself? You're running out of things to argue about. What are you going to do? Just my opinion, but if your lawyer thought any of this nonsense was of any relevance, he probably would have already brought it up to my attorney already, since they speak on a near everyday basis. I'm sure you've mentioned all of your issues to him about 9 million times already. You're very, shall we say, persistent, otherwise known as a fucking annoying bitch. Let's drop the charade already. You are not worth my time or money fighting for. I could think of a million better things to waste money on, and you can still save yourself some embarrassment. Thankfully, this is at least halfway over. At the end of the day, I can rest my head on my pillow knowing I did everything I could for my mom and carried out her wishes in the way she wanted, which is all that absolute most important thing to me. You cannot put a price tag on that or take it away from me. I wanted Satan to understand that you could keep trying all this shit, trying to like take little things from my mom's house that you think are important to me. The most important thing to me was being able to go through my mom's house, and I got to do it. And so you can't take that away from me. You can't take away what's really important to me. This girl is very materialistic and driven by money. I mean, she is like all about money. Her whole life revolves around money. I'm not like that. I don't need to drive a Mercedes. I don't need to live in the nicest neighborhood. That's not me. I wasn't raised like that, and I'll never be like that, because those things aren't what's important in life. And the things that are important to me in life, she has no concept or understanding of. So whatever you're trying to do, it's not gonna work. You could aggravate me, but you're never going to win, because I already won. Anyway, this dumb bitch writes back to me, I have no problem with trying to sell the jukebox. What were you planning on doing with it? And again, she didn't read anything I wrote, evades everything, and I told you that I was planning on taking it because they told you that I wanted it for $350, okay? So after all that I wrote, that's what she has to write back to me. And so I write back to her and I say, yeah, that's what I thought. You are a barrel of laughs. Why are you so quiet lately? You sure had a lot to say last week. I planned on giving you $350 for it. That's what I planned. And then I sent along with this meme of the count. And it says, a 1, a 2, a 3. I got your number. Because, dude, this girl thought I was like so stupid and didn't see what she was up to. So she didn't answer me, of course, because she's an asshole. And so later on that day, I had the discussion with my husband about the jukebox, and he told me that he was going to text my brother. And at the same time, I sent my brother an email about it and said, Chris wants the jukebox. And just mind you, I crossed out my husband's name because my family doesn't call him Chris. They call him by our last name. So anyway, I wrote, Chris wants a jukebox. We will give you $350, and we are being generous because if the estate company sold it, you would have only got $175 for it. You signed an agreement with them, so if you were willing to accept $175 for it a few weeks ago, $350 is more than generous. Once again, you put things in writing and now you're trying to rewrite history. How much more money do you really think you're going to get for it? Again, I can't make any sense of this. You were willing to throw money out of the window before. The only reason I could see is just because you don't want me having it like you're trying to stick it to me. Now, at the very same time that I wrote this email, my husband sent my brother that text. And my brother never replied to my husband, but I get an email back from Satan saying, no, he cannot have the jukebox for $350. I didn't sign any contract to sell it for any amount. And it's like, oh my God, what is the problem? I don't know how much more money this girl really thought she was going to get for this jukebox that was not in working condition, that had been in my mom's basement for like 30 something years, had been through multiple floods, a fire. I mean, come on. So this now started this game of what were we going to do with the jukebox? You know, were we going to sell it? Were they going to get it reappraised? Because I had already told them I wasn't paying for an appraisal. The $700 seemed like more than what we probably would have gotten for it had we tried to sell it privately on our own. And so it just started this whole new game with the jukebox that, of course, got dragged out and turned into a whole big thing. And it's just, nothing went easy during this whole entire thing. This girl was intent on just creating chaos. This wasn't the only game she was playing either. She had several games going on at the same time to try to torture me and give me a hard time for absolutely no reason. It's unbelievable. So I'm going to tell you guys about those. And once again, shit goes left. Satan was desperate at this point in time because she had nothing to complain about. Dude, I can't even tell you guys how psychotic this shit is, okay? I get a phone call one day from my attorney, and he is like screaming at me, like flipping out. He's like, I got a nasty email from Mr. Bad this morning saying that you recorded him. And I'm like, where did that even come from, dude? My brother's wife, or my brother, I don't know who it was, told the attorney that I tape recorded him. To be more specific, my brother's attorney told my attorney that my brother's wife or my brother told them that I had recorded my attorney and his attorney when they were speaking on the phone that day that I went down to my attorney's office. And not only had I recorded them, but somehow I played it back to my brother. Now, I think we all know that my brother wouldn't talk on the phone with me. So how did I do this? He wouldn't meet with me in person. He wouldn't talk on the phone with me. When did I play this message for him? It's just like totally ludicrous. And if you guys will remember a few episodes ago, I told you guys this. Well, after them changing the mailing address, I go down with my son one day and I go meet my attorney, okay? I bring my son with me to the office. So I'm sitting in my attorney's office, we're sitting there bullshitting. I gave my son my phone so that he could watch videos, and he's hanging out with Jeannie in the other room, right? And he's showing her Ghostbuster song and all this shit on my phone, right? You're probably asking why that's relevant. You'll see why. Well, this is the reason why I told you guys that. Because my son took my phone out of the office and had it the whole time I was sitting there. And so there's no way I could have recorded the conversation between my attorney and Mr. Bad. I never said I recorded him, so I don't know where that came from. Again, this is psychotic Satan, who has nothing else to argue about at this point, now just has to make things up because as a narcissist, Satan just loves to disrupt and cause chaos. That's what they do. For fun. I finally get my attorney calmed down, and then all of a sudden my attorney remembers. He's like, that's right, you couldn't have. He's like, you gave your phone to your son. I cannot believe this shit. These people are insane. Now, Jeannie sent me the letter, and I'm gonna read it to you guys. This guy was pissed, and rightfully so. I would be pissed too if I was him. But it ended up, my attorney ended up calling him and telling him, oh, your client's kind of lying to you. My client was here and her son had her phone. So this is what their attorney writes to my attorney. Richard, I received a call from my client today informing me that your client had recorded the telephone conversation that I had with you the other day regarding the estate and played it for my client. I assume that you didn't know that this conversation was being recorded by your client. This is very troubling and makes it difficult to settle a case if every conversation that I have with you is replayed to my client. That's a fucking weird statement. Mr. Bad talked shit about his client, and that's why he was so upset. So he writes, my client has also informed me that your client said she is not going to account for the items of personal property that she took from the decedent's home, and that she is not going to account for the items she took from the decedent's safe. That would be my mom. When did I say that? Did you guys hear me say that in any of the emails? Did I ever say, oh, I'm not accounting for the items? No, I never said that. But of course, Satan has to lie. This is unacceptable, he says. These are estate assets and should be accounted for. Finally, your client has taken the mail from the P.O. box that was established for the estate and is not informing my client of the items that she removes. This week, my client signed up for informed delivery from the USPS, so he got a scanned copy of each envelope that is being delivered, but not the contents. He has seen that an oil bill has been delivered, as well as a check that they had been waiting for. Your client has told my client that it's not her problem that he can't get to the P.O. box early enough to get the mail. In light of these continuing issues with the mail, I propose that we have the estate mail sent to your office to avoid these problems. Please give me a call to discuss. I would like to avoid another court conference, but it may be unavoidable. None of this is true. They lied about everything. Every fucking thing in that email that they told this guy was a complete lie. He did sign up for informed delivery, but he also had the mail forwarded to his address. But he didn't tell his attorney that. And so my attorney ended up calling up his attorney and told him, when I tell you guys there was nothing coming in the mail at this point in time, there was nothing. Nothing of importance. I sent him anything that had any importance. But of course they're gonna pretend like I'm not doing that. Because this girl cannot act like a grown adult, and it ended up blowing up in her stupid face we now had to have all the mail sent to my attorney's office. I mean, why? It's ridiculous. It's like so childish. What was the other thing that he lied about? Oh yeah, I never said that I wasn't going to account for stuff, but I wasn't going to account for stuff if Satan was gonna hand me some bullshit list with Pez dispensers and butterfly magnets and yoga socks and expect me to give her a list with all expensive items. Fuck you. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was many items that Satan didn't account for herself on her list. I mean, they took ladders from my mom's house and dressers and God knows what else. You know, I really don't know what they took from my mom's house. I mean, I cannot account for every single item in my mom's house. It's just impossible to remember every single little thing. I did have a pretty good memory, but I can't remember everything. And it's just like unbelievable. She wanted me to account for all these items that had some type of monetary value because she thought she was going to get money from me. It's just like demented. After this email came through, my brother's attorney, I think, got so pissed off that they lied to him that he stopped fighting for them at this point in time. Okay, so before I go on with the rest of the story here, I gotta explain something to you guys. Satan started to do this thing called the silent treatment. As you guys can see, I would write her these emails, I would address all of these issues, and then I would get, one sentence back in return. She wouldn't respond to anything that I was saying to her, or she would refer me to my attorney. And then sometimes she wouldn't even respond at all. And so I just want to read you guys something real quick. Narcissists give the silent treatment because they are cowardly bullies who can't take accountability for their actions in order to resolve issues with others. They know how to point out every little thing in their victims, but the minute a victim points at them, their game is over. They want to do all the speaking and criticizing and do none of the listening. Silence is their way of showing hatred, disdain, and revenge for pointing out their toxic and abusive behaviors, and their way of controlling their target and feeling more powerful. And that's exactly what was going on here. Me trying to talk to her and her not answering me, it gave her power over me. She thought that she was getting one up on me and winning somehow. And so I'm going to show you guys, because there was a few times that I had reached out to her and I had sent her a couple of emails and I didn't get responses back for them. Because again, I was pointing out her shit, her bullshit. I was calling her out on her shit and she didn't like it. And so this was another way for her to mess with me. So from October 19th to 11/1/17, Satan did not write back to me, okay? There was no response from her. She wasn't talking to me. And I had written her 4 emails in that time. And, some of them were really short. In the one email, I just asked her, by the way, you never answered, which EIN number are we using? After that, I wrote to her on the 21st and I said, I see that something addressed to me came in the P.O. box today from Fidelity. It was most likely sent there and not to my home address by accident. I did not fill out my forms. They were sent to my attorney, already filled out, and all I had to do was sign. Please return it to the P.O. box ASAP. It's not addressed to the estate, it's addressed to me, and therefore my mail. Hopefully while you were there, you informed the post office that all mail was being directed to my attorney's office, as your attorney has directed you to do. Not sure why you take something that's not addressed to you or to the estate. And I sent her a picture because I had informed delivery just like she did. So the post office actually scans in the mail and you see what's coming in the mail. And so I never heard back from her on that one. And so on the 23rd, I emailed her for a third time. And I wrote, I went to the P.O. box this morning and saw that you didn't return the mail that was addressed to me. Thank you. Thumbs up emoji. You also didn't have the mail switched to my attorney's office, so I took care of that for you. I spoke with the postmaster. I'll be needing your key back for the P.O. box. I'll also be needing you to sign a check for the oil bill that you supposedly didn't know about, even though I sent it to you on the 16th and you opened it. Also, please stop calling Affleck and confusing them. I told you several times that I am taking care of it. I have sent them all the necessary documentation to prove she was being treated for cancer in her last visit. You're wasting your time. Thank you. For the 100th time, I do not need your help. If you're bored, maybe you could take care of getting the rest of the furniture out of the house. And once again, didn't hear back from her. And so then I finally emailed her again. In the meantime, we had to deal with the offers that we had on the house. And so I am going to explain what went on with that. So in the meantime now, we had 3 offers on the house, okay? So one of them was for like less than our asking price, one was like around our asking price, and one was above our asking price, okay? I explained this in another video, but I didn't go into depth. Houses take very long to close in New York. So when you buy a house, it's a good like 6 months before the contracts are signed and everything like that. Between all the title searches and having to wait for attorneys and banks and all this crazy shit, it's a nightmare buying a house. Like, we waited 6 months for our house to close. You can close a house within 3 months here, but it can take up to 6 months. It's crazy. New York's one of the slowest states when it comes to closings. So the 2 people that had made the lower offers had conventional loans. And the person with the highest offer had a loan through Sallie Mae, which is one of the agencies that FHA loans are done through. So my brother and Satan did not want to wait for this FHA loan. Let me just explain. An FHA loan is a loan that's given by the government, and typically they take a little bit more time to settle because the government is a little bit more strict with COs and things like that. And so my brother and Satan did not want to wait because they just wanted their money right away. And and again, we didn't have the CO for the porch or anything like that at this point in time, okay? FHA loans, typically, they're a little more strict, so if you don't have COs and stuff like that, they require them. And so that's what kind of holds the process up, okay? Of course, because it's through the government. Like, the government's gonna make anything easy on us? Hell no. The crypt keepers, okay, and they're not supposed to do this. I took the real estate courses. I told you guys this 100 times. You're not supposed to steer your client towards any specific offer. But these fucking corrupt crypt keepers were doing exactly that. They were trying to steer me towards accepting this lowest offer. And I just couldn't make sense of it. It's like so crazy. So of course, I had contacted my attorney. My attorney was like, this is like absolutely crazy. Why would you accept the lowest offer on the house? Your job as an executor is to maximize the amount of money that the heirs, which is us, are getting. So my attorney was like, that is absurd. Why would you accept the lowest offer? It doesn't make any sense. And so with that said, my attorney decided to write Mr. Good a formal letter to explain what was going on. So on the 26th, my attorney sent this to their attorney. Dear Mr. Bad, please be advised that my client notified me that she was advised by the real estate broker attempting to sell the estate house that the house was listed for $349. An offer was made for $365 with a $10,000 concession. A second offer was made for $355 with a FHA mortgage. A third offer was made for $338 with a conventional mortgage. The broker informed my client that he was rejecting the first 2 offers and was accepting the third without ever consulting our client. The broker was not anxious to take any of the offers since the property has been on the market for 1 weekend and has already had 3 offers. In addition, your client advised the broker, who advised my client, that he had already hired a lawyer to do the real estate transaction for the estate. All this without my client's knowledge, but she had to get it from the broker third hand. As you and I have discussed it, that there are questions with the CO on the house due to the porch. The garage was converted from a garage to a partial living space, which would either have the living space moved or a variance obtained, and there is a question of whether or not there is a CO for the in-ground pool. Your deponent, aka my attorney, is somewhat familiar with the town that my mom lived in, laws, since I was the former chairman of the zoning board for 37 years. Apparently, the lawyer that they have theoretically hired was the same one that closed title to their house. My client further advises me that your client has taken mail from the mailbox that was addressed to her and not addressed to him or the estate, and has made it difficult for her to try to collect the Affleck insurance policy the mother had for expenses while she was hospitalized. In addition, she gave your client a bill for the landscaper, who apparently was not paid. He had blocked her out of his email and cell phone, and it is almost impossible for her to communicate with him or him with her, except through a third party. My client also inquired about having the mail sent to my office, as she has signed the necessary papers, but your client has not. Since your client refuses to speak to my client, I assume we will have to do everything between us, as juvenile as that sounds. Please call me when you get this letter. And my brother's attorney obviously agrees with him because, like, duh. So what if it takes another month or two or whatever? It ended up that the guy who they thought had an FHA loan, he didn't even have an FHA loan. He had a regular conventional loan. It's just that it was through a company that does FHA loans for, you know, for the government. So we end up accepting the highest offer. So I'm talking to the crypt keepers one day. The husband's name is Bob. The woman, I signed the contract with her and like never heard from her again. She was like just out of the picture. All the communication was with this man who is fucking 85 years old, might I add. And like, not a young 85. I mean, he was in good shape, but like, I definitely should not have been working as a real estate person. So I'm on the phone with him and he tells me that, oh, you know, I got your lawyer's information, and he gives me this guy's name and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? So I looked the guy up. We never picked a lawyer. We never discussed picking a lawyer. Now, if you guys don't remember, back at the very beginning, Satan wrote this. We can choose a realtor and attorney that is neutral to both of us to do this. But then a few weeks after that, she changes her mind. And she writes, if you would like to use your choice of attorney and my choice of agent, that would be a fair compromise. Consult with your attorney. And then our attorneys had a discussion on the phone. And my attorney told my brother's attorney that he could do closings because, again, he works with real estate. Then, halfway through, move the goalpost, she changed it. Oh, your attorney's the general practice attorney. Real estate closings are best handled by a real estate attorney. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Fuck you. So, you know, makeupmobster, she knows things. So I did a little research. And I ended up finding out that this guy is Satan's personal lawyer. He closed on their house and settled some type of dispute with them. I knew this guy didn't just get pulled out of the air. His office was like in the next county over, about 45 minutes away. So, you ready for this? The crypt keeper, Bob, tells me, like, yeah, you know, your brother said that your attorney and their attorney picked a lawyer. Come again? I don't think that's what happened. So I call my attorney up and I give him this guy's name. I'm like, you ever hear of this guy? He's like, no. I'm like, well, apparently you agreed on him. So again, Satan just lied for the sake of lying because she just likes to lie. I mean, that's what she does. Lied to the crypt keeper and his wife, lied to an 85-year-old grandfather, told him that, you know, our attorneys agreed on this lawyer, right? Once again, I have to give in to these assholes. My attorney's like, you know, just use them and blah, 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 because they don't want to fight. Yeah, I can't tell you guys how much it irks me that a piece of shit like that gets her fucking way all the time by doing shit like this. It's really, really irritating. And as you guys will see, that became a running theme because my attorneys weren't even fighting for me. I don't know why I was paying these guys. And so with that said, I'm going to leave this one here and I'll pick it up in the next one.